Yesterday we just left off on this Rashi on Bedorosov. Yesh Rabbi said Doshnos l'shevach koshkim shel hoye bedor tzadikim hoye tzadik yoser. Yesh Doshnos l'genai. Others interpret it in the negative. What is it? Vish doro hoye tzadik v'lo hoye bedoro shel Avram lo hoye nechshav klum. So we explained it meant to be if he would have been the generation of Avram, not with Avram as the role model. Meaning, in his present state, if you'd compare the two, he'd be considered nothing. Now, so Marishiv Zechayim Vrocha always used to say, both opinions are not disagreeing in the fact. Factually, comparing Noach to Avram, he would have been nothing. But factually, despite the generation, he was able to achieve what he achieved. Said Shevach. Right? They're both correct. So what's the machlokas? The argument here is what exactly is it trying, when the Torah says Dorosov, is it trying to communicate, is it emphasizing the negative, or is it trying to emphasize the positive? That's the question. Right? But factually, if you would have been B'dor Shel Avram, lo yinach shel klum. Nobody disagrees with that. Factually, in terms of being able to be what he was despite his generation, that's a fact. He was a tzaddik. Right? The question is only what exactly is the Torah trying to communicate? The positive or the negative? This is what Rashi always used to say. But let's talk. If we could say the Torah is trying to communicate something positive, why say negative? Right? Right? Why should we? No? Factually. Factually, they're both true. It's just a question of what the Torah is trying to communicate. Why does the other one assume the position it's negative rather than the positive? Right? That he never spoke about. So why? You know, it's not a question of being judgmental here. In fact, we're talking about facts. Fact is a fact. Nobody's disagreeing with the fact. Both facts are correct. So I was thinking that factually, the Mabul is called Mei Noach. Chazal, the Pasuk in Navi says he failed. Now the question is, why did he fail? Why did he fail? Avram did not fail. Why did he fail? It says that Esel Kimisalech Noach, as we'll see in a moment, Hoyetzorach Sad. Avram needed no support. Avram was inwardly self-motivated. But Noach needed the Sad, needed that assistance. It wasn't self-motivated. So as a result of that, if he wouldn't have failed at the end, the Torah would say, you know, Pedorosov, the fact is, despite everything, he was a tzaddik. But factually, we see at the end of the day, he's faulted. He failed it. Why did he fail? So therefore, the pshat is because that already, we see something negative about Noach. So the Torah is already highlighting it in advance. Since he was Bedorosov, it was a challenge. But ultimately, he failed. Why did he fail? Because Dorshan Lignai. Because Lo Yenechshav. Because if he'd be compared to Avram, Lo Yenechshav Leklum. But if he would be within Avram's league, he wouldn't have failed. That's the reason why. Otherwise, why should we interpret it negatively to say that's the intent of the Torah? That's what I was thinking. What? No. Why did he fail? He's faulted for failing. It's not he failed because the people wouldn't listen. No. Then it's not Mei Noach. What do you want from him? He did what he did. They didn't want to listen. Like I always say, whenever you want to influence somebody, you say, you know, it's not so simple. Because the person to be influenced needs a schus, and the one to be the influencer needs a schus. The question is, does he have the schus? Doesn't he have it? Even if he has the schus to be influenced, maybe you're not the one to be the one, have the schus to influence. So there's so many variables. But here, the Navi says clearly he failed because it's Mei Noach. It's his failing. Why is his failing? If he would have had the quality, the attribute of Avram, he wouldn't have failed. Therefore, the Dorosov is negative rather than positive. That's Rish Lakish, why he's saying it l'gnai rather than l'shevach.
Rabbi, when we did Gvurus Hashem, so the morale says that the part of the failure of the question that Abraham asked Hashem is that we'd rather be slaves in Egypt. So is that also a failure?
No, not being perfect.
Right.
Not being perfect is not his. Nobody's perfect. Here he failed in his mission. It's not a person made a mistake by asking the wrong question. Here he was given a mission, he failed in the mission. He was meant to save the world, but he failed. It's a serious fail. It's not because I asked the question. Therefore, one's the detail, one's the totality of everything over here. He did have the potential to succeed. So why didn't he? Of course, the first point, because he was with the Rosov. Because the way he gauged himself, it's like, if you're studying yeshiva, certain people, they're very motivated to get to the top. But once they get to the top, and nobody's near their point, they plateau. Other people, whatever's around them is irrelevant. They just keep going. So the personal plateaus, he has to find himself in another yeshiva, right? Because he needs that, the competition, right? The comparing himself to others to be able to motivate himself to go further. He needs that outside aspect variable to motivate him. Noach was B'dorosov. Avram was not a B'dorosov tzaddik. His door had no relevance to him. He understood what he had to do, and he just went for it. That was Avram Avinu. It's like Howard. I think Howard needs Teaneck to be a tzaddik. That's a good one. Teaneck, New Jersey. Okay. Same fake.
If I was a boy, I'd do nothing. So it's okay.
From this Rashi, what he quotes, as you know, the sign of affection. It goes on Avram the other way also. That Avram would have been able to, because Avram wasn't tested in the generation of the Malach. Maybe you could say
Avram saved the world. He saved the world. It says in Pirkei Avos there were 10 generations, and he accomplished what nobody accomplished, and he got schar for everybody.
But the people would have come, maybe not as bad.
There were bad people. Hashem only because he made a bris. He's not going to destroy the world again. There's a Yalkut. The Yalkut says maybe you'll say today the people aren't as bad as Dora Mabel. He says they're just as bad. No, not worse. They're just as bad, but they're not as many of them. That's what it says in the Medrash. They're not as many. But there are people that are no less worse than the Dora Mabel. And Sodom and Amorah. Sodom and Amorah too. Okay?
But when you talk about the Amorah versus the Mabel generation, they stole.
They're worse than that. It was Rola Mokum. It was out of spite. Right? They were Roim Lashem. Okay, let's get back to Noach. Esel ki misalech Noach. Ubavram hu omer hisalech lefonai. Right? You walk before me. Asher isalachti lefonov. Noach hu yotzorach sad letomcho. He needed, some person needs a foot brace. Right? Needs Ernie Levy to help him out. Right? Aval Avram hu yemeschazik malach bitziko meilov. He was self-motivated and empowered himself with his own righteousness to move forward. Now you understand why Avram was Ivri, right? Avram was hu mitzad echad v'kol olam mitzad. He took on the world single-handedly. If you need a sad, then you can't take on the world single-handedly. Avram took on the world single-handedly. He could have. There was his bechira. He wouldn't be faulted. He wouldn't be faulted if he couldn't have succeeded. The Navi faults him. What the Torah keeps pointing out, factually, he wasn't Avram Avinu. He wasn't Avram Avinu. No question, he could have. You can't be faulted. That flowers nothing to do with this. Flowers nothing to do with spirituality. No question.
But he had influence over them. He knew who he was. He was a different person, and he didn't develop himself enough.
He wasn't. He failed. You can't fault a person if he wasn't within his capacity to succeed. Right? You can't fault a person. But it's called Mei Noach because he failed. Right? The Navi says it's Mei Noach. Okay? Over here, the Balaturim, I mentioned yesterday, it's Noach 3 times 1 pasuk to say he saw 3 worlds. He cites another Chazal. The reason why it says Noach 3 times, Because in his chus, his 3 sons were saved. Right? Shem, Chom, and Yofes. So Noach is mentioned 3 times that the dimension of his chus was able to cover 3 people. That's why it's mentioned 3 times in one pasuk. So you have to say because the wife is secondary to the husband. That's like one entity, right? That's one entity, right? Even though this seemingly doesn't go with with Rashi last week. It says the reason why he only started to father children when he was 500, so when the Mabul came, they were less than 100. Because in those days, less than 100 is like considered a minor. So the minor is not culpable for his actions. So it seems that if that's the case, you don't need the schus. Here it seems to be they would have perished, but it's only in the schus of Noach they survived. That according to Second Chazal he brings. That's why Noach is mentioned 3 times. But they should also be like an adjunct. Like the wife is an adjunct to the husband, the children, being minors, should be considered an adjunct to Noach. But according to Chazal, it seems to be not this way. Rashi doesn't say that in last week's parsha. No, he not that he chose to have children. He couldn't have children. Hashem didn't allow him. And
because if they were majors, they wouldn't have been saved.
no, if they would have met tzaddikim, they would have been saved. So Rashi says, but then he would have had to build 3 more tevos, 3 more arks. What the problem with that? I don't know what the problem with that is. So they would have built another 3 arks, right? That's why Hashem. If they would have been Rishon, they would have perished, which wouldn't have been good for Noach. That would have been not good for Noach. But if they would have been tzaddikim, then they would have had to build an additional 3 arks. I don't know what it would have been.
Why can they still come on his side?
You remember last week's Rashi. You learned Rashi. And Rashi says it's a Chazal, right? So the question is why. You're asking a good question. So, and what's building? What's wrong with building another 3 arks? No, I never understood it until this moment. Not because he asked the question, just something clicked in my mind. Why? What's wrong? You know, they tell over the story. There's Alan's Gunnar Shalashina story that he tells over in Englewood, not Teaneck. That, you know, there was a community. They had exactly 10 people. Never failed. Always had a mean. An 11th person moves in, right? Then they're always lacking. Why? Because each person says the other one. No, the other one's going to be the one to make the minion. So everybody stays home. So you don't have a minion. When you have 10, you know, you're either all there or nobody's there. It's interesting. What was the whole idea of building the teva? It was a focal point. People come and ask questions. What happens if you have 4 arks being built? It's already it's a detraction. It's a distraction and it's a detraction. What is it? Is it this? Is it that? You know, what's going on? So therefore, since you can't focus on one thing, then it becomes a problem. Therefore, Hashem didn't allow it to be tzaddikim. Now you have a new question. Why do they need their own arks? Let it be one. So the answer is, it's again the same idea. Because if they're all tzaddikim, they all have responsibility to do something. So therefore, you have to, the responsibility is for the generation. And what is how do you bring it? Building the teva. But it's only Noach. So therefore, he couldn't, it's not the, of course, you know, you can have another setting. It's because, again, it's a distraction. Right, exactly. It's one message. Exactly, that's what it is. There's a Maral, it says that Yom Echad, we mentioned yesterday, Rabbi's not here today. V'yerev Yom Echad, so Rashi cites Chazal, because the first day there weren't Malachim. The second day there were only Malachim. So it was only Echad. And the second day, still Echad. So the Maral says, when you see an angel, when you have a sense of what an angel is, especially the greatest angels, you know, you could confuse it. You could see an angel is a power independent of God. You could mistakenly think that. So it's a distraction. It minimizes, it's only HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's only one representation of that power. It's Echad. Once you have Malachim already, it's not so simple. Otherwise, there's no basis for Avodah Zarah. The whole idea of a deity, right? The powers. What? So therefore, so first day is echod, second day is not echod. It didn't change the reality. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is still echod, but we're talking the perception. He's no longer perceived as echod. Same thing. You have too many tzaddikim building arcs, so the perception is minimized, and therefore that becomes a problem. But there was nobody left. No. We're talking about for the people. Yeah, but here it was for the generation, those generations, not later generations. Look, each one went his own way anyway, you know. They became idolaters again afterwards anyway. Very quick, they failed. So with Noach building the Teva meant nothing. Right? Shem was a tzaddik because he was a tzaddik. The other two were not. Okay? It's interesting. You can learn the same pasuk year in, year out. There's always something new to talk about. I'm serious. You know, Chazal, pasuk. No, it's always, you know, we say you go michoyel lechoyel. You know, you go from power to power. You know, each level you reach, you become more empowered. When a person sees he succeeds, you know, it's like a person says, I rise to the challenge. And every time you meet the challenge, the next challenge, you're emboldened to go to the next level. Because you see it's within your capacity. And you see you succeed. That's the Hoyim Eschazik. You know, he rose to the challenge.
That they failed the first time, so would we ever say because they failed the first time they failed the second time? Or could it be completely using the same words?
It's just the reality of man. Just the reality of what a human being is. It says, Yetzelev Adam Ramanurov. Right? Man is evil from the time he's cast from the womb of his mother. Yeah, that's Echod. This one day in the year, Yom Kippur Mishmar. Yeah. Okay. No, that's not.
But also you said once that the plantation of trees, the bracha was that the tree should produce, the tree itself
Should be edible.
should be edible and produce fruit. And the angel that was in charge of
Failed.
because he just produced a fruit tree. So man already was tainted.
Was defective. He was made of defective material.
That fruit in a regular
Because otherwise Hashem should have destroyed it. Initially shouldn't have gone further, but he wanted the human being to have an excuse why he failed. This minimized the midas adin. No, there's rachmin. Person's born with a handicap. Although he had within his capacity to do the right thing, but you know, you have rachmanus on him. You know, he's handicapped. Adam was created with defective material. In their show, my son told me over the Gurarians, the Maral says something phenomenal. Says that the Eitz Pri Oseh Pri originally, why? I mean, it failed, right? The angel, he says the Maral says because the earth, man was made from earth, so the earth had to. No. He says different. He says something interesting. He says something profound. Man was created with Bechira. What's Bechira? Choose good and evil. So if man is made, from where does Bechira emanate from? From his physical makeup. So therefore the earth, the Malach who was created, had to have that Koach HaBechira, it had to lie within the earth. Because man was made from earth. Because otherwise it's difficult. He should have destroyed it immediately. If it didn't work out the way he wanted, he should have stopped there. No. Because that is an element of what the human being is. Because I had difficulty. It says after the third day, it says whatever he created was Vayara Kim Kitov. Hashem said it was good. How could it be Kitov? Right? Even the way I'm learning. How could it be Kitov? It failed. He says Eitz Pri, Oseh Pri. It was only Eitz Oseh Pri. So how could it say Vayara Hashem Kitov after the third day? He said it was good. How could it be good? It didn't work out the way he wanted it to work out. The answer is it's Tov because ultimately it's Tov because it's for Adam. That's the reason. Because now he doesn't have to destroy Adam when he fails, because there's a basis for that failing. He could attribute it to that being defective. That's where it's good. That's where it's good. Even though it failed, it's good. Because that's the basis why Adam will be able to survive, despite his failing.
How do you say that he failed? I mean,
Adam failed?
no, that Hashem failed.
Hashem didn't fail.
With the
Hashem didn't fail.
eight.
The angel didn't do what Hashem wanted it to do. But the question is, at that point, you should have ended it right there. Right? You defy me, you don't go, no, because it's tov for Adam. Because the purpose of creation is Adam. Now Adam has a chance to continue, despite his failing. That's the tov. Okay, let's see the morale.